Today, I wanted to talk about an Arc Titan build that has taken the community by storm. This build allows you to get great and high uptime on the new aspect while pumping out great damage and getting your abilities back at a great pace. As per usual with my build guide, I'll be going over the subclass setup, the best exotics to pair with this build, the best weapons to pair with this build, the best mods to use, and the combat flow to make sure you're ready to dominate Heresy. So with that said, I'm SniperKH and let's hop into it. So let's start with what the subclass setup will look like. For starters, you'll need the Arc subclass on Titans if that wasn't obvious enough. From there, I'd recommend using SniperKH as it's the best Arc super Titans have available to them. For your class ability, Rally Barricade will be the best for this build. While most Arc Titan builds would recommend the use of thrusters, thrusters will prevent us from using what today's build will be heavily focusing on. Additionally, Rally Barricade will let us reload our weapons faster, which in turn can help us pump out damage quicker. For the melee, I'd recommend Thunderclap as I find it to be the best of all the options. For grenades, I'd suggest Pulse Grenades as it'll synergize best with this build thanks to one of our aspects. Speaking of aspects, Storm's Keep is required as it is the centerpiece of the build. Additionally, I'd recommend Touch of Thunder as Touch of Thunder will allow our pulse grenades to generate ionic traces as it damages targets, allowing us to get our abilities back faster. As a further bonus, our pulse grenades will also do more damage the longer they last. Thanks to the aspects we've chosen, we have 4 fragments we can choose from, each having a useful addition to the build. For starters, we'll be equipping Spark of Magnitude, which will allow our pulse grenades to have 2 more pulses, increasing its damage output and increasing the number of ionic traces we can get. For the second fragment, we'll be using Spark of Discharge. Spark of Discharge will grant our arc weapons the chance to generate ionic traces, which will allow us to get our abilities back faster. For the third fragment, I'd recommend Spark of Resistance, which will grant us bonus damage resistance when surrounded by enemies. For the fourth and final fragment, I chose to go with Spark of Beacons, as this will allow us to blind enemies with arc, special, and heavy weapon final blows while amplified, which will help the crowd control aspect of this build. Moving on to exotics, we'll first touch on the armor as I find the exotic armor choice to be required with this build. The choice of armor for this build will be the Heart of Inmost Light. Heart of Inmost Light will allow us to get our abilities back faster while also allowing our melee and grenade abilities to do more damage and allowing our barricade to have more health. Using this exotic chest piece lets us get our barricade back ridiculously fast, meaning you'll have a new barricade up before your current one goes away. For exotic weapons, there were 4 main options that I found worked best with this build. Grand Overture is a fun and easy to use heavy weapon for DPS, which would work great for this build. Additionally, Darcy would be a solid pick as they got a major buff this season, allowing it to buff legendary sniper rifles with extra damage. The Queenbreaker is also a great option as its catalyst makes it a top pick in the meta now. That being said, the exotic weapon I used that brought the most synergy to this build was Thunderlord. As paired with Storm's Keep, it can output some ridiculous damage, and it also proves to be an easy DPS option for those that just want an easy DPS strategy. In terms of weapons and mods you can pair with this build, I found that popular arc weapons like Nauseous Vetiver and Indebted Kindness were great options. However, I personally enjoyed using the new Psycho Pumped Area Denial Grenade Launcher the most, especially since it can roll with Rolling Storm, which will grant you stacks of Bolt Charge on weapon kills, allowing you to effectively have Bolt Charge up 90% of the time. For the mods, I found myself using 2 copies of Dynamo to get my super back fast from class ability activations, and 1 copy of Harmonic Siphon for an Orb of Power on arc multi-kills. For my gauntlets, I ran 1 copy of Firepower, 1 copy of Heavy Handed, both of which will grant another source of Orbs of Power, and 1 copy of Arc Loader. For my boots, I ran 1 copy of Enervation to get my grenades back faster, 1 copy of Recuperation to get health back easier, and 1 copy of Arc Weapon Search for the bonus damage. Finally, for my class item, I used 2 copies of Distribution to get my grenade back quicker, and 1 copy of Powerful Attraction to suck Orbs of Power in when I use my class ability. Additionally, this build benefits from this episode's artifact, so equip Dielectric and Flash Over for bonus power to this build. Moving on to the combat flow, you'll want to start by using your barricade as you'll be able to start building energy for it again, plus you'll be getting stacks of Bolt Charge. From there, kill adds using whatever abilities or weapons you have available. For me personally, I would use all my abilities then use my weapons, as we'll be getting a fair amount of ionic traces which will help build us our abilities back faster. Once you get your barricade back, use it immediately to refresh your barricade timer and to start building it back again. From there, just rinse and repeat this cycle for an easy to use build. Overall, this has by far been the most fun build I've used this season. This build provides crazy uptime with your abilities, and the new aspect puts out a respectable amount of damage, is an overall easy to use build that anyone can get value out of. Well, that'll wrap up today's video. If you found it useful, consider dropping a like and subscribing for more Destiny 2 content dropping soon. If you want to come catch me live, then you can do so over at twitch.tv/SniperKH_, where I'll be live streaming myself doing some more build crafting and other shenanigans that I promise you won't want to miss. Otherwise, check out my social media platforms linked below for updates on when I go live and when I upload. With that being said, I'm SniperKH, and I'm out. Good luck with gaming.